Hey everyone, Couch Investor back to another Tesla video for today. So the stock is down over 8%. Why? Well, because the market just still does not understand Tesla. Does that surprise you? No, and I think most people's reaction was this. So what happened? Probably the market or a lot of algos saw this small delivery miss and were like, this company is not growing anymore. Let's create a sell-off on a very green day, by the way, shall I add. And then factor number 2 is probably AI day that was maybe a bit too technical for some Wall Street analysts and did not understand anything. And maybe the Tesla bot was a bit underwhelming as well. When you think of it, last year they had a guy in a suit dressed like a robot. This year they had a robot with basically, computer vision, a bit like FSD. And it could walk, it could take a package from one table to the other, can visualize an office. Of course, after a year, what did you expect? Did you expect that bot to jump on a table, off the table, clean the dishes, wash the floor? I mean, let's be a bit realistic here. And of course, the comparison to Boston Dynamics, a company that is doing this robotics thing for close to 20 years now, something like that. And the best thing they could produce are programmed robots that the only thing they can do is dance. And that's about it, which is still fine. I know they can do a bit more than that as well. And I'm a fan of Boston Dynamics, but the comparison here is not really fair. On the other side, on the extremely bullish side, I've seen some comparisons that are also a bit stupid. People comparing Tesla's revenue to Boston Dynamics revenue, which doesn't really make any sense, right? If you want to compare, maybe compare it to whoever bought Boston Dynamics. I believe it was Hyundai, right? So if you want to compare, then compare that. But then again, even that comparison isn't one to be made. So, as always, the market gives long-term investors some opportunities. Now we're going to have a look at the graph. Then I want to talk a bit about the deliveries as well, put some context into it. But before I do that, if you want to support me and this channel, by the way, check out the 2 last videos on this channel if you're interested, and maybe check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to full.com/couchinvestor and make sure to check out all the other links in the pinned comment. I would really appreciate it. And by the way, some of these links might actually save you some money. So, remember in my last Tesla video about the red flag about Tesla, which talked about Twitter, we looked at the graph and I said something like this. And currently this graph doesn't look good at all. Yes, you can say, oh, this is a small support. It is a small support only if the market turns green. If we have another couple of days of red, well, this will not last that long. Plus we have this tiny gap here at around, $250 or so. And now, surprise, surprise, what do you know? Well, yes, the stock went down and filled that little gap here. And we're also extremely close to being oversold. And guess what as well? We now have a gap on the way down, which means probably when earnings come and suddenly the market realizes, this company is actually making a lot of money, we might actually see a gap up. Now, of course, it's still written here Twitter lawsuit because that will still be able to impact the stock. Obviously, the deposition did not happen last week. It will happen soon. So that's also a factor you have to, factor in. Now, of course, I do want to reiterate again, I'm not a technical analysis genius. I just know the basics of the basics. Of course, if the market again turns red, if there is something with Credit Suisse, which by the way, maybe I'll do a video on it, maybe not. I'll add maybe some extra info here. I do not think that Credit Suisse is in the same situation as Lehman Brothers in 2008. It's just not the case. Nobody actually is in the same situation as 2008. Plus, if something were to happen with Credit Suisse, I think the Swiss government will not let them fall the way the US government let Lehman Brothers fall. They tried it in 2008. They thought it would work out. Obviously, it was a complete disaster. They probably learned their lesson and they're probably going to help them. Maybe even if Deutsche Bank is I don't know, something happened to that bank, they'll probably get help as well. Plus, US banks are in an extremely good position right now. I don't think that we'll have an '08 scenarios. Of course, it makes for great headlines, right? But I've talked to people in the industry and they all say the same thing. They think that if something happens to Credit Suisse, they'll get help and they will not go bankrupt like Lehman Brothers. So we already have that out of the way. And then as for the production and deliveries. So obviously we've all watched already Tesla Daily's video. By the way, for Tesla AI Day, he did a great supercut. So go watch that if you missed that. Now, with regards to production, we reached 365,923, which is up 42% quarter over quarter and 54% year over year. Now, with regards to deliveries, that came in short, around 20,000 vehicles or so, and that number came in at 343,830, and that's still up 35% quarter over quarter and 42% year over year. Now, in this quarter, we also had some challenges towards the end of the quarter. At the beginning of September, there was that typhoon in China that probably affected some deliveries as well. We also had the last couple of days of the quarter, the hurricane in Florida that probably impacted some deliveries as well. Now again, with deliveries, it's not that, oh, okay, it's a miss. No, they'll just get delivered a couple of days late or a couple of weeks late. What's the big importance here is that production keeps increasing. The cars will get delivered. That's not an issue. If production were a miss, a big miss, let's say, then we can start and talk about a big issue here. But right now, that's completely not the case. And of course, Tesla added their own explanation here. So as our production volumes continue to grow, it is becoming increasingly challenging to secure vehicle transportation capacity and at a reasonable cost during this peak logistics week. In Q3, we began transitioning to a more even regional mix of vehicle builds each week, which led to an increase in cars in transit at the end of the quarter. So probably lots of cars today are still on boats. These cars have been ordered and will be delivered to customers upon arrival at their destinations. And of course, it goes without saying that with the help of Giga Berlin and Austin, well, you'll have less of an issue that you have to, export China-made cars to Europe or to other parts of the world because, Berlin will take care of that as well for Europe, of course. Giga Austin will take care of the other part. So you will have less of that difficulty of, that huge rush at each and every quarter. And then you'll just see the deliveries get made pretty quickly. Production, again, to me and to most investors here, is the most important. And that's just on the way up and up and up like a hockey stick chart. And so to conclude, I'm taking this opportunity to add a couple of shares here and there, especially at the $240 mark. I see no reason why the stock had to crash 8%. I think the earnings will be extremely good. I don't really see any red flags besides that Twitter scenario that I talked about in last video. I know some of you disagree, but I still think that the Twitter lawsuit weighs on the stock. But overall, for the long-term future of the company, doesn't really matter. It's short-term issues, and if short-term you can pick up more Tesla shares at a cheaper price, why not? Obviously, do share your comments down below. Have you been buying right now since the stock is down? Yes, no? Let me know down in the comments below. And what were your thoughts of AI Day? Share those down as well. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, maybe that subscribe button. And I see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.